Alright guys, here I am with ZazuBaar.
Hello.
Foolish mortals.
I wasn't going for the Dracula thing. I was going more for like the crazed aviator wearing pedo stash guy in the rickety van, but that works too.
Whatever helps.
That's my version of Dracula.
Yeah. Anyway, today we are doing, obviously, the Vampire Q&A. You've asked all things of Bloodsucker, and we're going to stake those questions. I don't know, I lost focus.
Oh my god.
Shut up.
That's what it's gonna be like all night, folks. Nothing but that. That's all you're getting.
Yes. Get out now while you still can.
Nothing but vampire puns.
Yes. But we assure you it won't suck.
I'm leaving.
Alright, so you ready?
Yep.
Our first question comes from FlameKid100, and he asks, do you think the Twilight vampires could take on the classic vampires like Dracula? Personally, I think the Twilight vampires would get owned by someone like Dracula. That's a no-brainer. Of course the sparkling pixies would get their ass kicked by, you know, Vlad.
Deadpoolzilla and I, before we started recording, were talking about brain damage. I think this dude might suffer from it if he thinks that that's even a possibility.
Oh, don't be mean.
I'm kidding. No, I mean, it's no contest. I mean, the motherfuckers... alright, here's the thing. If they can't die in sunlight for some inexplicable reason, then you've gotta give them that they have an advantage. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
If Dracula just looks at fucking Edward Cullen, he will shit his pants. Just shit his pants. And vampires, notoriously, when they shit their pants, that's the signal that they're at the end of their life cycle. So Dracula would use that to his advantage and tear them apart.
Yeah. So, layman's terms, yeah, they'd all die. Every one of them.
Again, you've got to give the Twilight vampires a little bit of credit. They can't survive in sunlight, so if they were smart about it, which based on those movies they wouldn't be, but still, they actually might be able to do it if they were smart enough about it.
Yeah, although none of them could last till sunlight.
No, I mean the minute Dracula walks in, they're just dead.
Yeah, and also, I'm sorry about what Bill said. Flame.
I apologize. That came off wrong. I meant that as a joke.
Yeah. All right. So the question, Flame Kid. Next question comes from Venom Rules All, and he asks, "What would you like to see Blade meet Alucard? If so, what would you want the story to be?" Bill, have you ever seen the anime Hellsing?
I know of it. I have not seen it.
Well, Alucard's from that. We're gonna get a lot of Alucard-centric questions, so be prepared.
Oh, goody! Something I'm not familiar with. This will go so well.
Great.
Alright, so since you're familiar with it, why don't you take the reins and I will just respond.
Yeah. So Blade, I'd imagine, because the hard thing is that Alucard is Dracula, and they have Dracula in the Marvel Universe. That's the tough thing.
Don't they also have Alucard in the Marvel Universe?
No, not really. They have Lilith, Dracula's daughter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how it would go if they ever met. Like, I think Alucard, because the thing is with Alucard in the Hellsing anime, no typical way of killing a vampire works on him. Like, he can go out in sunlight. He's immune to holy objects. He's actually been set on fire before. Like, any traditional way of killing a vampire doesn't work on him, but he can be killed. Like, he's said that only a human can kill him because he had been slain by Van Helsing.
Right.
And the thing is, Blade is half vampire, and Alucard can command other vampires.
Right.
So I think it'd be kind of difficult. Like, if they're both hunting, him and Blade are both hunting vampires, it's going to be kind of difficult. But I don't know how it would go. That's the thing. Like, this is something that a lot of people have thought of, but I don't know. Like, I think Alucard would just be like, "You're nothing but like." I think he would look at Blade, seeing that he's a half vampire, and just be like, "You're an impurity." Because he's all about being a traditional vampire.
Oh, okay.
So I think he would look at him and be like, you soil our name. you're an insult to every vampire.
So wait, he hunts vampires, but he's a purist for vampires?
Yeah, the vampires he hunts, he believes that the vampire throughout the anime, he's pretty much saying that he's the last true vampire because all the other ones he's faced are either genetically created or genetically enhanced, or they're just not powerful enough to keep up with him.
Oh, okay. So he's like a Nazi vampire in a way.
Funny enough, because his main enemies are Nazis.
What? That is hypocrisy on an extreme level.
Well, he's not a Nazi. I wouldn't say like he has a Nazi view. He's a traditionalist.
All right. I mean, I know a lot more about Blade than I do about Alucard, but I mean, it would be cool to see them fight. I think that they would probably start... See, because a lot of these superhero crossovers have them start off as enemies and then go to become friends. I think this one would work better based on how it sounds as being the reverse, where they start off as friends and then become enemies as they learn more about each other's background. So I think that at first they would team up to kind of fight off some kind of giant vampire threat, and then as Blade learns more about Alucard, and as Alucard learns more about Blade, they're like, fuck you, and then it would result in a fight, blah, blah, blah. I think that could be a little bit more interesting than just the traditional superhero team-up.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah, anything else you want to add to this question?
No, I'm shocked I got this far knowing nothing about Alucard, so I'm a little bit proud of myself.
Yeah. So thank you for that question, Venom. Next question comes from Serpent T. Lada. Oh god, I'm really sorry if I have butchered your name, sir. Good questionnaire. But this person asks if vampire I'm trying to spell out this word. Basically, vampire lore.
Right.
Because I'm just getting tongue tied by trying to say the word conscription.
That's a fucking word of the ages, my friend.
Yeah. You know, basically saying, where some fiction books say that the famous vampires are vampires or slaves of vampires were real, which famous person do you think vampires and his slaves? So he's basically asking, what celebrities out there do you think could work as vampires? Or work for vampires?
Oh my god. Wow, that's too easy. Any one of the Kardashians. I mean, they feed off people as it is. They're feeding off the lifeblood of America's youth, so
yeah.
I would say they would work.
Liam Neeson is a vampire.
He's a nice guy, as far as I've heard.
He's a nice enough vampire. I mean, let's face it. He dresses nice. He's got a very like hypnotic voice.
Yeah.
God, it's like trying to figure out who's gay. There.
Oh God.
No, that's gonna be the next thing you see on E. Is that who's a vampire now?
Oh, okay. Vampires. This isn't a celebrity, but he strikes me as the type. Ian would be a perfect vampire.
Our Ian?
Yeah, our Ian. Because he always dresses up. He never wears sneakers or anything, as far as I know. He's always in dress shirts and like designer jeans and like loafers and shit. He's got this wonderfully trim mane of hair. And he's very sophisticated. He's definitely a social introvert, but he can be social if he has to. And he spends a lot of time away from people.
Yeah, unless it's his female companion.
Unless it's his female companion. Deadpoolzilla, I propose to you that Ian is a vampire.
I'll get the wooden stakes.
I'll get the garlic.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ian, but it's come to this, dude.
I mean, it's been coming a long time.
Yeah.
He knows I've been on to him ever since I met him. It's just taken me this long to grow up the confidence to finally take him out. Celebrities, though, since I'm not going to give Ian the chip on his shoulder of calling him a celebrity.
No, you'd just be feeding his ego.
No, I mean, I just did that enough by calling him well dressed, so that's all he gets. Celebrities, though. Vampires. Oh, wow. There's a lot of... See, there's so much you could say, but not a lot of it would be interesting. Alright, only because of how well she has aged, Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren, a vampire, okay.
I mean, holy shit, that woman is in her 60s, looks like she's in her early 40s.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
She is bathing in young virgin blood at night, I guarantee it. That was a callback to early vampire lore. Wow, see, I do know my shit.
Oh, you want to move on before we just get lost in this question?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So we could go on with that question, it's just that we have a lot to do.
Yes. We have better things to do now. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Next question comes from Vritzilla. Which classic vampire group is your favorite? The Lost Boys, the Near Dark Vampires, Fright Night Vampires, etc. So what is your, Bill, what is your favorite class of vampires in any form of lore or media?
Well, if I might just say, when he first said that, I was like, you mean like a music group? Like a vampire music group? No, but in terms of vampire groups, I mean, immediately the one that jumps out to me is From Dusk Till Dawn, that whole bar. I mean, I don't know if that's really what he's talking about.
No, that's something like he's talking about. What are the kind of versions of vampires?
Oh, okay. Okay, so classes of them. Again, From Dusk Till Dawn is a good one, though they're a little bit more monstrous than most other versions. I mean, I've always been a Dracula guy. I love Bram Stoker's novel, and of course Bela Lugosi's portrayal, and Gary Oldman's portrayal, and Christopher Lee's portrayal. I like the classier vampires, but that kind of live in the shadows, and they're very socially introverted, as I described Ian a couple minutes ago. You know, kind of the type that has a flowing cloak, a raised collar, sits in their castle at night, looks out onto the countryside, waiting for the right moment to strike.
So the Anne Rice vampires.
Yeah, I would say that would be a decent comparison. I do like Interview with a Vampire as a movie. I know a lot of people make fun of that movie. But I like vampires who are not insanely crazy about what they are. So again, kind of like Brad Pitt's portrayal in Interview with a Vampire. I always thought that was a good portrayal. But I do also really enjoy the more down and gritty, more modern vampire, like a vampire you would see in Blade, where they're running clubs and shit, and fucking, you know, they're gangsters and street vampires. I enjoy that portrayal as well. It's a nice contrast with the more Dracula type. I think it's a good contrast.
I've preferred the more animalistic vampires, the more primal, like the ones you see in 30 Days of Night. Or the ones you see in Dusk Till Dawn.
Right.
Or I do like the club owning ones, but I love the ones that can just snap and turn around and become land sharks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing sexual about them. They just want to drink your blood and rip you to pieces.
Yeah, that's another thing we can get into here is the whole sexual angle. I mean, it's so well engrossed in vampire lore. I think that I enjoy both because Milan has written a William Stone spin-off with a vampire in it.
Yeah.
And his take on the vampire is a lot like what you're describing. It's a much more animalistic, monstrous kind of thing. There's nothing sexual about it, which is a point he makes in the story. And it is a chilling read, or listen rather, because it's an audio play. So, I mean, I enjoy that as well. It's a lot more of a scary. It's a lot more of a scary idea because there's no humanity in it at all.
Yeah.
It's this human-type figure just ripping you apart with not even looking at you as a person, just as prey. However, on the flip side, it could also be, as from another perspective, be seen as more interesting that you've got vampires who are more of sexual predators, and you can do something with that. So I think both can work, but it really depends on the context to say which one I like better. So I can't really say either or.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know, like, I like the whole thing of the no humanity type deal. Because they're monsters, deep down.
Right, that's true, but I think it would almost be more interesting to see that as an older vampire, because I think it's a good contrast to see the ones who just turn trying to hold on to their humanity, and as they get older, as they get more ancient because they are immortal, they start to just become more like these, you know, animals who see themselves above humans and abandon all their humanity.
Yeah.
Because when you hear these vampires, like again in the Blade franchise, talk, or in Underworld, they talk like they're not human, but they operate within the realm of human society. Same thing with werewolves. So there's an interesting thing there where, you know, I think it would be interesting to see a group of vampires who totally abandon that and consider themselves really above human. So I think that's also an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah. Hang on a second. So, yeah, do you want to keep going with this, or do you want to move on to the next question?
Let's move on to the next one.
Alright. 146 Zigzag asks, if you could choose any modern horror figure from 70s to present time for Dracula to face in a modern Monster Mash movie, who would you pick?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Modern horror figure. I'm gonna have to go with the Predator. I think that could be a really cool character to have him fight off against. Just because I think that if Dracula, you know, were still around, he would be a sensible target for the Predator, being a hunter who hunts hunters, so to speak. So I think that'd be a cool adversary for him to take on.
That'd be cool. Would you want it present time, or like back when he was a Romanian lord?
I think that not necessarily present day, but definitely you said it at the peak of Dracula's. Not so much his time as Vlad the Impaler, but more of like, you know, his time as a count, you know, in Transylvania, like kind of where the first Dracula movie opens, or in that
so he's been Dracula for a while.
Right. I think that could be the cool place to take it.
Okay.
You could have and then you could have vampire predators.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome.
Or you could say that his blood, like the Predator's blood, is like, it's kind of like making Dracula sick.
That could work too, but again, dude, vampire predators. Just think of the possibilities.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Predator would be cool. Maybe Jason.
I was thinking of Jason. That could be cool.
Because like, Jason can't really turn into a vampire. I mean,
no.
And he doesn't have any blood, really.
Right.
So when Dracula goes to bite him, he'd be like, "You taste like dead." You know?
Right. I mean, there's no blood in him, so it'd be like, it's like eating like just black meat chicken.
Yeah, or rotted flesh.
Right. Not that I've had that, but yes.
Yeah. I think with when you have with Jason is that Jason could keep coming no matter what Dracula throws at him.
Right.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. Dracula and Pinhead fighting.
I was thinking of that as well because they both got the Children of Hell thing going on.
Yeah.
What about Dracula versus what was I gonna say? Shit, I had one in my head and I forgot.
Freddy?
No, it wasn't a slasher character. It was another one. I don't remember. It might come to me later on. If it does, I'll bring it back up. But I don't remember now.
All right.
Oh, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh wow.
That could be cool as well because that's such a weird kind of creature, and maybe the Thing tries to assimilate Dracula, and you get this weird like hybrid fucking vampire alien thing. Because the Thing also drinks blood, so
yeah,
that too could be an interesting little battle.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, and That would be interesting to see if it could assimilate dead flesh.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if Dracula could feed on it. I think this would be one of the few times where Dracula would kind of have to be the good guy, because he would realize if this thing takes over the world, then I have nothing to feed on. So
yeah,
I better take care of this. And he kind of becomes like a like almost like an anti-hero in kind of a way.
Yeah, that'd be, and also him teaming up. Imagine like Van Helsing's reaction to this thing, because I don't think he'd believe in aliens.
No, I mean, probably not. He might even think at first that because he is a religious man that the thing is a devil related, like almost like a demon possessing someone.
Yeah, I think he would like think that it's an alien, it's a demon.
Right, exactly. And Dracula would be like, "Don't be a fucking idiot."
Yeah, this thing is not from hell, but from the stars.
It comes from up there.
Not down here.
And Helsing's like, heaven? No, it's up there more. Oh my god, just imagine the scene. Two like great actors, Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins, just having like a stupid like Abbott and Costello type moment of like who's on first and shit. Oh my god.
That'd be great, but you want to move on to the next question?
Sure.
Alright, thank you for that question, Zigzag. Next comes Fire Tools, and you might want to sit this one out, Bill. It's another Helsing question.
Done.
Alright, Fire Tools asks, how would a Helsing Jackie Chan adventure crossover go?
What?
You've never seen Jackie Chan Adventure?
I never knew that was still relevant. I remember it from being a kid.
Alright, because they brought in vampires before in Jackie Chan Adventures, the Zhangxi, I believe.
Right.
So maybe it'd be interesting to have Alucard go to China, and at the same time, Jackie Chan and Uncle and Jade are there to collect some kind of rare artifact, and they encounter a whole group of Zhangxi. That'd be interesting.
Sure.
And that's where Alucard and him meet, and I don't know, Alucard is just like, I have to work with humans, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, Jackie Chan is being a Chinese stereotype. Oh, bad day, bad day, bad day. I love Jackie Chan Adventures, but... Well, I love Jackie Chan Adventures. It's just that sometimes they made like, wow, you were really playing up the stereotype sometimes.
Oh, God. Yo, what empire? We are Asian empires. Superior. We only have one job. Really, really far off. I apologize to any listeners of the Oriental persuasion.
Yeah. But thank you for that question, Fire Tools. Next question comes from Malangar. I really hope... once again, I really apologize if I'm really messing up your names. My deepest apologies. He's pretty much...
It was all of you $5.
Shut up. Don't give them an idea.
Take you to court and shit.
He's just saying Frankenstein's Monsters... Because I was thinking about doing a Frankenstein Q&A if I had enough time this month. And he said he's not really a zombie, he's more like a flesh golem. So he's not really a zombie, and I could do a whole Q&A on him. And I might. If I have enough time this month.
I wouldn't say Frankenstein's a zombie.
Yeah. But our next question comes from Jake Bat. He's changing his question, apparently. Would you like to see Batman fight vampires from the Lost Boys?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Let's not let Joel Schumacher touch Batman again, but...
Oh, come on, I like Forever.
I do too, but still, I don't want to see bat nipples again.
It'd actually be funny, because Schumacher did both movies, so...
I know, that's why I made that joke.
I'd like it. I mean, I like the Lost Boys vampires. They're, like I said, they're the kind. They can be they can be humanized and then turn right into being animals.
Kiefer Sutherland will finally fight Batman.
Yeah, that would be it. Like,
That's all you need. You don't need anything else. You just want to see Kiefer Sutherland fight Batman fist to fist.
Yeah, but which Batman?
Well, I mean, are we talking about comics or are we talking about film?
Good point. Like, if you could transition, because they've done Lost Boy comics, so.
So I mean, I assume here we're talking about comics. There's no way they would do this as a movie. It would just never happen. So, in terms of writers, though, there was a writer who did a Batman Dracula crossover.
That was Doug Monick, I think.
Oh, he's a great guy, great fucking, great writer, great.
Well, he's a great Batman writer. I've read other stuff where he just praises Batman.
Yep, I've heard of him doing that, but I mean, I'd love to see him do it because I think that could be cool.
Yeah, I personally would like to see Greg Pak as well.
That also could be awesome. Always up for my boy Pak to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I recently read that Zod Villain Month issue he did, and it was amazing.
Oh, was it good? I almost bought it, but I was like, even if it's Greg Pak, I don't want to touch DC. Get it away. No. Anyway, yeah, that'd be. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd buy that for $1.
I knew that was coming.
Oh man.
All right. So thank you for that question, Jake. Next question comes from Dragon Epic 94, and he asks, "Do you like the classic Fright Night or the 2011 remake with David Tennant in it? Also, what did you think of?" He's basically asking, "What did we think of Fright Night remake and the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie?"
I did not see Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I saw Fright Night and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I really liked the remake. It's one of those few horror remakes that actually did really good.
Mm-hmm.
It really knew what it was doing.
Exactly, that was the key thing.
And David Tennant was amazing.
I mean, it's David Tennant. I mean, I love that man. I really do. He is such a great actor. I mean, he's not playing Shakespeare by any stretch of the imagination, though he has done that. He's playing this over-the-top personality, and he does it so well.
He's pretty much playing Monster Hunter Chris Angel. He
melts himself into that character. I mean, you look at that, and you're like, that's the 10th Doctor?
Yeah.
He's just such a disgusting, selfish person.
Yeah, and by the end of it, he becomes a total badass.
Exactly. I mean, he was a badass to begin with, but I mean, he's just not as selfish at the end. And he's this horn dog and shit, and he's like this rich millionaire. I'm like, oh my god, this guy can act. It let him kind of let him chew the scenery a little bit in a different context than Doctor Who. I thought that was a nice thing to do.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fangirls' dreams came true when they saw him shirtless and in leather pants.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
I listened to him do an interview with what the fuck's his name? Chris Hardwick on Nerdist, which is a podcast, and he talked for like 10 minutes about how disturbed he was by some fan fiction he read of Doctor Who. And he said, "This is why I stay away from the internet." Because stuff like this comes up in his fucking Scottish accent.
Yeah. Isn't that the same one where he talked about he'd like to be Mr. Fantastic?
That was the same one.
Yeah, I keep saying, dude, if they do, when they do Fantastic Four, or give it back to Marvel so they can do it, David Tennant, Mr. Fantastic, he'd be a great...
Just make Reed Richards British, that's all you have to do.
I think he could do it. He's done an American accent before.
I know, but dude, Reed Richards as a British guy would be awesome. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, just do it. Who's gonna care? If someone cares, they're an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of like the remake, I liked it, but I like the classic as well. So it's one of the few times where I like both really well.
Here's the thing. Okay, I'll admit I have not seen the original film in full, but from what I saw of it, it's really unevenly paced.
What, the classic?
Yeah. And I kind of think that the first one, the remake rather, has a much better progression from the kind of normal to the insane. I feel like the remake the original is just kind of like, it doesn't quite know how to get comfortably from the normal to the insane, which is clearly what it was trying to do.
Yeah. I liked it, and probably because of nostalgia, but I think it's mostly because of what's his name? He played Cornelius in Planet of the Apes.
Roddy McDowall.
Roddy McDowall for his performance as Peter Vincent.
Right.
I think that's the most reason why I like it. And Tennant really did a great job with his version of Peter Vincent.
Oh, totally.
But again, like, as much as I love the remake, I gotta give a lot of credit to the classic. Now, in terms of the movie of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I don't want to be... I've said this because I did a review on the movie a while ago, and I don't want to... And once again, like I said, I don't want to be this kind of asshole, but the book's a lot better. Because they're trying to do the entire story of Abraham Lincoln in one movie, and it didn't come out well. And I didn't like that. I mean, the actors they had were really good, but it just wasn't a well-paced movie.
Right.
And I just felt like they really depended way too much on the slow motion.
Oh, crap.
So yeah.
I didn't really want to see it for one basic reason. You put Abraham Lincoln into a universe with vampires and have him hunt them. Do it when he's in the White House, because that's a lot more badass. Because from what I heard, they tried to do it where it's like it's almost like his origin story.
Yeah, it's his whole. It's pretty much 90 in the novel. It's pretty much like his autobiography, but it's 90% true. The other 10% is the vampires. That's how close Seth Grahame-Smith, the author, wrote the book.
Right.
And it's a really good book. It's one of my favorite novels. And yeah, when I saw the movie, I'm like, wow, they have cut out a lot and put a lot of other stuff that was kind of pointless.
Right. Yeah, I hate it when they do that.
Again, I don't want to be this kind of asshole to say, oh, the book was better, but in this term, it was. The book was better. But thank you for that question, Dragon Epic. Next question comes from Linerman02245. And he asks, what would happen if vampires from the 30 Days of Night universe invaded the following universes? Legend of Korra, Gravity Falls, MLP, Blade, and Power Rangers.
I am familiar with 2 of those.
Okay, so let's go through them as follows. I don't know. Legend of Korra universe invaded by the 30 Days of Night vampires. It's kind of funny because there was, to anyone listening, I have talked about this before, that I did read a fan fiction that brought in vampires into the Avatar universe, and it was really cool. They didn't really call them vampires outright. They were a race of the first bloodbenders. They could actually pull the blood out of your system so they could drink it. And they were like subhumans. They kind of looked like a mixture of the 30 Days of Night vampires with the creatures from The Descent.
Oh, wow.
And they could actually bend your blood out of your system and could actually control people. And they were the first bloodbenders, and they were originally waterbenders who were kind of like a leper colony that were driven out, and they were kind of outcasts. So it was really cool that they didn't call them vampires. Like I said, they didn't outright call them vampires, but yeah, it was kind of cool how
where the influences were.
Yeah. So so Legend of Korra universe, that'd be interesting because it's a more modernized world, and just because again they do have they do have a harbor in Republic City, so maybe have that black ship from 30 Days of Night just come rolling in. But the thing is, like, that city has a daylight system, and they're only weak. The 30 Days of Night vampires, their only real weakness is sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just gonna be like hide out in the city. So with Gravity Falls, they have a lot in terms of like the city thing. It's a town. You can hide out in a town. You can hide out in the forest. And a lot to say, like, they couldn't hide out in Legend of Korra because they could. There's a lot of places in the city that you could hide. But in Gravity Falls, you can hide out in the forest, and it's a less chance of somebody finding you, like in Republic City. And there, it would be a total bloodbath. The MLP universe. I don't know how you could put those kind of creatures in that universe where...
Why would you even want to try? I mean...
Yeah. Blade is pretty much face vampires like the 30 Days of Night vampires.
Right.
Because in the Marvel universe, there's different species of vampires.
Right.
And these are very close to the Nocturnes. So I think, yeah, Blade could take them on. Power Rangers.
Have they done vampires in Power Rangers? I want to say yes.
I feel
yes,
like
they did.
That's right, they did. They didn't they. Who was it? Adam became a vampire or something?
No, it was maybe. I think it was Power Rangers Mystic Force that had vampires in it.
Yeah, and I think because I want to say there was a Mighty Morphin episode where Adam got turned into a vampire.
You're probably right. It's been a long time, so I don't remember. You're probably right.
But no, you're right. Mystic Force did have vampires in it.
Yeah, and they had one of the Rangers become a vampire, as I remember it. They also did kind of a vampire type thing in SPD with the bat person thing.
Oh yeah, Broodwing.
That's it, yeah. And you had tie and shit. That was fucking hilarious. I mean, why does a bat need a tie? Really? I mean, what's he gonna do with it?
You could always use it to hang around.
I mean, I would like to just see this Mighty Morphin just because that's what I grew up with, so... I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. Maybe Lord Zed sends it in there to try and take out the Rangers without actually wasting any of his own forces or some shit. Because all he'd have to do is, like, just use his staff, be like, hey, you, go over here and kill these guys. Okay, and then they do it. He wouldn't have to waste any other energy, so that could be cool.
Yeah. But, yeah, there you go. Thanks for that question, Linerman. Next question comes from OverNerd02, and he asks, what do you think some of the someone like Blade or Buffy would react if they found themselves living in a world where vampires ruled the world, and if they were able to survive in this kind of universe?
Well, I imagine they would be a lot like freedom fighters.
Yeah, and it's pretty much he's saying, what would happen if they lived in a universe kind of like Daybreakers?
Right, yeah. I mean, I imagine they would be like the character, like Willem Dafoe's character in that movie where he's a rebel trying to fight off the vampires.
Yeah, or it could be like the I Am Legend universe. Not like the Will Smith universe, but more like something like Vincent Price's Last Man on Earth or the original novel.
Right. Because to call the ones in Will Smith's version vampires is kind of stretching it.
Yeah.
Because in the original, they actually get killed with wooden stakes, so...
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny, because I recently watched the Vincent Price movie. But yeah, if it was like a universe like that, not so much like the Daybreaker universe, but more something along those lines, I think it'd be interesting. Because again, they would be like something like the Freedom Fighters or something like that.
It would almost be like Terminator, but with vampires.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that sounds fucking awesome. Someone do that.
Just call it like Blood World or something.
Right.
Oh my God! I just thought of the greatest title.
What, Blood World?
Yeah, Blood World.
I actually was thinking today, has anyone ever done a post-apocalyptic werewolf movie? And I couldn't think of anything.
No. We've had vampires. We've had a few vampires. We've had a ton of zombie apocalypses, and we've
obviously, yeah.
And we've had a dragon apocalypse movie.
And I'm not saying like the werewolves caused the apocalypse. I'm saying like a post-apocalyptic world where the werewolf is the main character.
I've seen a movie where a group of vampires are trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a group of vampires because now vampires are getting nervous that their food source is dying.
Right. And
they're pretty much like, what the hell do we do now? Because we can't feed off the zombies because they're infected blood.
Right.
And the humans are getting harder to find, and we can't turn them. And then we have the fear of turning them because that's another mouth to feed.
Right.
Yeah. It's a really cool movie. It's on Netflix. The movie's on Netflix. I know that.
That's awesome. I would not want to be a human in that world where vampires and zombies are out to get you. That would suck.
Yeah. I was also I had an idea of vampires and werewolves trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse. Like their food source, because vampires and werewolves, I'd have it like these vampires and werewolves can't get infected. They're immune to the zombie infection, but they're running out of food.
Right.
Yeah.
But dude, you gotta admit, zombie vampire werewolf is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah,
I mean, just think about it. It'd be like, oh man, that'd be awesome. Zombie vampire werewolf. Werewolf who gets bitten by a vampire and then bitten by a zombie. And undead. So it'd be like triple.
Yeah.
Most over-the-top curse ever.
Yeah. So, again, over nerd, it would be cool. So, yeah. Next question comes from MB Free. And he asks, what would happen if Ra's al Ghul and Count Dracula met each other? Good question.
They would have tea and crumpets and become best friends.
It's actually kind of funny because they've had Dracula in the DC universe, but he's never been like a main character like in Marvel's Dracula.
Right.
So it'd be, and you know, and technically speaking, Ra's al Ghul has lived long enough to be in Dracula's timeline. I mean, Dracula's been around long enough to see Dracula, so it'd be interesting if they had met each other.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense.
And I think it'd be interesting to have like Ra's have a conversation with Dracula, just saying, you know, I can, you know, Dracula telling him, you know, you basically have to fall back on something to keep your eternal youth. I can just be this way forever.
Right. Well, I mean, he has to drink blood, but
yeah. And I wonder, like, if he would try to go for, like, he would pretty much tell Ra's, I can't bite you because the Lazarus Piz made your blood toxic to me.
Right. Well, I think it would be like, they would be almost like old business rivals, or old game, like just old rivals, where they're just constantly at war with each other because they're both these immortals and they're both rulers in some way.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of like how they met. Like, it would be like their business, not so much business rivals, but more like two warring gangsters.
Right. And just imagine their armies fight.
Yeah.
The army of the undead versus Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins.
Ninjas versus vampires. Shit, I'm in.
Fuck yes! Fuck yes. Somebody make this movie.
Someone make this comic.
Oh yeah, right, it's DC, so okay. Alright, fucking Dan Didio. Stop being an idiot.
Yeah. It's funny because there was a comic I actually own this in Marvel. Apocalypse versus Dracula.
See, Dan Didio, that's fucking cool. You are not. You need to learn to do cool shit like that.
Yeah.
And straight.
And it literally had Van Helsing and Apocalypse teaming up.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, it would be cool. I'd love to see Count Dracula and Ra's meet.
They got similar costumes too, so Dracula would be like, you fucking rip off.
Yeah. And also, like, again, it would play into the whole Dracula being the anti-hero, because I think the thing with Dracula is that I wouldn't have it that he wouldn't be so much into world conquering, but more like he's trying to keep his species alive, and Ra's plans would kind of put a dent in that.
Well, right, I mean, Ra's is trying to essentially destroy the world, and Dracula was like, I need the world, so fuck you.
Yeah, I don't care how bad it may become, or how bad it is now, these humans are kind of needed for my species.
Right. He's just like, listen, they are my drug. I need to take my drug. That's it.
Yeah. Your plans are going to get in the way of my people's survival.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's how I'd really like to write Dracula. Is just saying not so much a conqueror these days, but more of a survivalist.
Right.
Yeah. And it would also be cool because, again, Dracula could bust out the whole medieval war fighting against ninjas.
Right.
Yeah. So, man, I could talk about this all day, but...
No, I mean, it's a cool idea, so...
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for that question, MB Free. Next question comes from Earthbound Again. If you could reboot a classic vampire movie, such as Lost Boys, Near Dark, Fright Night, and many more, which one would you pick? And also, he added American Werewolf in Moscow would be amazing. It's basically harkening back to another American Werewolf movie in Europe. Where would I pick? And I said Moscow.
Oh.
Because I'd like to see a Russian werewolf.
Yeah. I mean, let's leave the American Werewolf franchise alone because, American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah. Anyway,
American Werewolf in London is my favorite horror movie of all time too. So, I was offended greatly when that thing was made. Or when I saw it at least. Classic vampire movie I would want to reboot. God. I mean, I've always wanted to make a Van Helsing movie, just with the character, so, give him a good movie where he's actually like the character from the books. Where he's
I like the Hugh Jackman movie.
You like the Hugh Jackman movie?
Yes.
Good, so do I. I mean, it's a fun little action piece. It's not.
Yeah, it's not so much a horror movie. It's kind of like harkens back to when the Universal movies were doing the Monster Mash movies.
Yeah, but even then it's kind of flawed. I don't particularly care for their version of Frankenstein's monster. It's a little too busy on the design side of things. And Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Van Helsing is okay. I don't know.
But those werewolves, man, them werewolves.
They were pretty fucking cool, I'll admit. And that last fight, entertaining for the first minute, and then it kind of wear on. I would say Van Helsing.
All right, like a more like a mystery horror suspense Van Helsing story.
It's not really a mystery. I would do it as a lot more of almost like a compendium of a bunch of different classic horror stories. Set it in the Victorian era, and Van Helsing is a young university student not a young one. He's just about to graduate in his graduate year. He meets people like Victor Frankenstein. He meets Dracula. He meets Imhotep, who turns out to be a mummy.
How about like one where he meets Edgar Allan Poe?
He meets Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, stuff like that. I actually think it would work better as a TV show, almost kind of like how Once Upon a Time does fairy tales, do it with horror stories.
I'm surprised no one's done that yet.
It's kind of sort of been done before, but it hasn't been with licensed characters. Like, I mean, you look at a show like Monsters, and it was kind of like that, but it was terrible, so it didn't really matter. Then, of course, you've got stuff like Tales from the Crypt, which was kind of that way. Just they kind of adapted them into their own stories. But anyway, that's my idea.
All right. I really have nothing because Fright Night had a really good remake. It'd have to be someone really good with Lost Boys. I would actually like to see a remake of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying it's a really good vampire film. Don't get me wrong. It's a really great silent film. It's probably one of the best-known silent films. But I would like to see what they would do with it, because obviously it was a movie that was inspired by Dracula, but they couldn't call it Dracula, so you could have a lot of room in the remake to do something entirely different with Count Orlok.
Well, here's the thing. No existing print of Nosferatu uses the Count Orlok name. Because it's a public domain movie, so you can get it basically anywhere. And in those prints, they just call him Dracula. Here's the thing with Nosferatu: it's been remade a bunch of times.
Has it?
Yeah, oh yeah, a bunch of times. And a bunch of them spawned franchises. Most of them were not American-made films, but there was one in the early 2000s with Willem Dafoe called Shadow of a Vampire.
Oh, I've seen that. That's a remake of Nosferatu?
I mean, it's not a remake of Nosferatu. It's a movie about the filming of Nosferatu. And they say that Max Schreck was a real vampire. So, that was... I mean, wouldn't it be cool to see, like, that vampire fight the traditional Dracula? That'd be fucking cool.
That'd be cool.
And it's funny, because a lot of people look at Nosferatu and say that it's, it's a early kind of rough adaptation of Stoker's book. His version of Dracula is the closest to the original description in the book. Because in the book, Dracula is a hideous, disgusting, wretched old man. And no one ever thought to make him suave and kind of sexy until he got to America in the late 20s when they put him on stage. And that's when it was inspired by, because in America the only vampires we had were vamps, which were essentially strippers. It's a little bit classier. And they would perform in vaudeville. And when they brought the Dracula license to America to do as a stage performance, they were like, no one's going to go see this show unless we make it sexy. And sexy by 1930s standards. And so they made their sexy version of Dracula, and the one of the first casting choices was Bela Lugosi. And then, of course, he went on to play Dracula in the movie, so that's where that started.
Ah.
Sorry for rambling, I'm just a history lesson.
No, that's fine. I can't really think of a vampire movie to remake.
But Nosferatu is a good one.
Yeah.
I have another one, but I mean, the Hammer Dracula stuff could be interesting to see.
Yeah, if you could do a remake of Horror of Dracula.
Right.
That'd be great. I mean, obviously, depending on when you create this, because all that's left is Christopher Lee.
Well, I mean, obviously you have to recast, but...
Yeah, but who would you want to play Dracula in this day and age?
Well, let me just say this. We're talking about Van Helsing earlier. What a great Bela Lugosi knockoff. Great fucking casting.
Yeah, he was great. I'd like to see him do more Dracula stuff.
He was really cool. I mean, he can't play a serious version of the character, but, because that was just such a hammy version of Bela Lugosi. It was fucking great. Yeah. Oh, boy.
I would like to see, this is going to sound really, I don't want to pull out, like, the obvious choice, but Javier Bardem would be cool as Dracula, and even Michael Fassbender would be a cool Vlad Dracula.
Is the obvious choice Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, the obvious choice wasn't Benedict Cumberbatch. I was going to say, I said Bardem and Fassbender.
Oh, okay. The obvious choice for me is Benedict Cumberbatch. I feel like whenever somebody asks me who I want someone to be played by, I always say Benedict Cumberbatch these days, but I honestly think he'd be a good Dracula.
Yeah. You know who would also make a good Dracula? And this or a vampire character? Matt Smith.
Oh, God, yeah. He'd be great. Eccleston could be great as well.
I was going to say Eccleston would be a good Dracula.
Yep. I mean, there are a bunch you could go with. I'm trying to think of kind of middle range. Sean Bean. Yeah,
Sean Bean would be a good one. I would even say, oh man, what's his name? He's also in Game of Thrones. The guy who plays Jon Snow.
Oh, yeah, he'd be alright.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. I think he would be the guy who plays Jon Snow. I think he would be better off playing Jonathan Harker.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. He'd be a good Harker. And finally turn that character into an interesting character. Because you read the original novel and you watch all the movies and you're like, God damn, this guy's boring.
Yeah. Thank you, Keanu Reeves. Who would you want to play Van Helsing in this role?
Oh God.
It would definitely be someone have to be an older actor.
Well, if you're adapting the book,
John Hurt is my Van Helsing.
Oh my God.
John Hurt would be a great Dr. Van Helsing.
Oh man, be great. To kind of be an interesting flip. Oh, Terrence Stamp could be cool too.
Oh yeah, he'd be good.
To kind of flip-flop roles a little bit, what if Gary Oldman took on the mantle of Van Helsing?
That would be very surreal.
Right, exactly, but it's the same thing as Terrence Stamp playing fucking Jarrell.
Yeah.
So it'd kind of be just equally as interesting.
Yeah. This
is gonna sound really weird, so stick with me on it.
Alright.
Downey Jr.
For Dracula or Van Helsing?
For Dracula.
Okay, I'm interested. How so?
Alright. He's getting up there in age, and he doesn't really want to play Iron Man anymore. And I think that, we've seen in the Sherlock movies that he can do one hell of a British accent and play kind of an introverted British character. I think that if he kind of took his basis with Sherlock Holmes and then turned it into a much more dark, tragic performance, I think he could be one hell of a Dracula.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got the charm down, so.
Yeah. You know what else would make it? Now that I think about it, another great Jonathan Harker,
Who?
James McAvoy.
Yeah.
He would be a good Jonathan Harker. I mean, he's young enough. I think also, if you want to go with someone a little older for Van Helsing, I'd say David Warner.
Didn't he die recently?
David Warner, he was in Cold War, the Doctor Who episode.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that. Somebody reported him dead, and it turned out to be wrong. And I keep forgetting that it was wrong.
Yeah, but
it's really annoying because that's ingrained in my brain.
Yeah. But
he passed away, so now whenever someone brings him up, I feel the need to point out that he's dead and he's not.
yeah, but no. First and foremost, for Van Helsing, pick John Hurt.
I think that's the best choice by far.
Yeah. But no, we could talk about this all day. But I've just remembered. Oh yeah, we have other questions.
No, but dude, Downey Jr. is Dracula. John Hurt is Van Helsing, and the Jon Snow dude is Jonathan Harker. That's our movie.
Yeah. Now all we need is like Lucy and Harker's wife.
Right. Now imagine the Hollywood star-studded version of Dracula. So, as Jonathan Harker, you have Robert Pattinson, and as Professor Van Helsing, you have Tracy Morgan. And as Dracula, of course, Dracula would have to be portrayed by Zac Efron.
Don't crush my dreams.
I'm sorry.
You know, also before we go, another great Dracula pick, Zachary. I think Zachary Quinto would be interesting.
As who? As
Dracula. He's the guy who plays Spock in the.
No, I know who he is. Yeah, I could almost see him more as Harker.
Yeah, that'd be good too. Quinto would be a good Harker. I was just thinking Dracula because, again, going back to his Sylar performance in Heroes, but I've even said that Quinto would.
So no.
I've even said that Quinto would be a good Riddler.
Yeah.
Before
Chris Pine as Jonathan Harker.
I think he'd be good as that.
Become like the badass, like fucking gun twirling Jonathan Harker.
Well, he does become a kind of a badass in the book.
Yeah, and also a little bit in the horror of Dracula version as well.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to move on?
Sure.
Next question comes from Travis Hrendon. Do you think vampires that transform into bat monsters like in Van Helsing or Underworld ruins the vampires in it? His answer is no, and depends on the character and stuff like that. So basically, is he asking, like, when vampires transform into big bat monsters, does it ruin it for you?
I agree with him. It depends. I mean, if Dracula did it in a serious Dracula movie, it would bother me.
Yeah. Not like in Van Helsing, because again, it's fun and stupid.
No, again, as I said earlier, that guy is awesome. He could not play a serious Dracula though, because he is hamming it up big time. It depends. Because here's the thing: the vampires are always so much more interesting when they're monsters who look like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to go into the monstrous, like, creature side of things, if you're doing a serious horror film, I don't think it really works. Action movie, go for it.
Because that's what the Van Helsing and Underworld movies are. They're more action.
Right, precisely.
So yeah, you're right. I think it would bother me if, like, suddenly he turns this big bat monster. I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Right, so fucking Downey Jr. is fighting John Hurt in our Dracula movie, and all of a sudden Downey turns into a fucking bat monster. That immediately ruins the drama.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I think it would be cool for, again, Downey Jr. would be cool. I don't know, like, you'd really have to sell it to me, though.
Really?
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no to Downey being Dracula. I just, like, I've never thought of him like that. Like, playing that character.
Oh, I think he'd be so badass. He'd be like the next Christopher Lee.
I keep saying, like, someone who has, like, a great, someone who can have a great menacing performance and stuff like that. Like, that's why I said Fassbender.
Right, I think Downey could be fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
I bet he's got it in him.
I guarantee it too. I mean, he's mostly played just asshole-ish characters. I've never seen him play, and you know, of course, Sherlock Holmes. But even then, he's kind of dickish. He has a dickish character
he
in there.
always plays the arrogant hero. I mean, but just imagine him as the arrogant, terrifying monster. I think he could really pull it off.
Yeah. Again, it's more like I'm not saying no. It's just like I'd want to see it first.
Yeah, totally. I'll call him in tomorrow and do a screen test.
Because we can totally do that.
Right.
Yeah, but you want to move on to the next question?
Yes.
All right. So thank you for that question, Travis. The next question comes from Mr. Emerald123, and he asked if you could create a Black Ops vampire team, who would be in it?
Black Ops vampire team. So we're sending in our vampires to like.
No, I think what he means like vampire hunters.
Oh, so not actual vampires.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. If it's not, I'm sorry.
Oh, cause I thought we were sending in our vampires to like take out dictators and shit.
I think he means vampire slayers. That's why.
Okay.
If not, I'm really sorry, Mr. Emerald. If that's not what if you mean actual vampires, sorry. So vampire slayer team, go.
Van Helsing portrayed Van Helsing portrayed by Peter Cushing.
All right.
Blade. Peter Vincent, as portrayed by David Tennant.
All right.
Oh wow. Oh wow though. Put on the spot here. Shit. Oh god. Other vampire hunters. Sex Machine from Dusk Till Dawn. With the crotch gun.
Who doesn't want that gun?
Who doesn't want that gun? James Woods from Vampires. That's my team. That's
a damn good team.
Yep.
Gordon Gekko on my team.
George Clooney.
Dude, who wouldn't want Gordon Gekko on their Black Ops vampire hunting team?
Right.
Peter Cushing, Dracula. Peter Cushing, excuse me. Peter Cushing, Van Helsing. Who else? I think pretty much your team, but I'd also add Sarah. I'd also add Buffy.
Right. Yeah. I forgot her.
And Alucard from Helsing.
And Angel. Don't forget Angel.
Yeah, Angel too. But also I'd add Alucard to my team.
Right.
So yeah, there you go. Once again, if you meant like straight up vampires, I'm sorry, but I think what he means is again vampire hunting team.
Right, but dude, come on, vampires hunting dictators. How is that not a sitcom?
Well, the thing is that there's not a lot of good vampires out there. All I can think is Alucard and a small margin of others.
Well, they don't have to be good to kill dictators. We send in fucking like Kiefer Sutherland from Lost Boys.
Okay, Alucard, Kiefer Sutherland's vampire. Celine from the Underworld movies, and
Blade. He's kind of a vampire.
Yeah, Blade, and that's about it. Like that would be the vampire team for me.
And again, taking out dictators.
Yeah.
They're vampires and they're slaying dictators. Dictator slayers, wham! That's the intro. What do you think?
Go kill yourself.
Oh, fuck you. I have beautiful singing voice. Bane just walks by my door. What a lovely singing voice.
Alright, next question.
Thanks, Bane.
You're welcome.
Not appreciated in my time.
Yeah, alright. So thank you for that question, Mr. Emerald. King Nazaru asks, which girl from the Avatar series would you like to see as a vampire? For him, he'd choose type.
Sitting this one out.
Well, I'm pretty sure you know what Avatar is.
I know what it is.
If you want to answer, that's fine. He pretty much said Ty Lee would be a good vampire. I don't know. Like, May would be an interesting vampire. She pretty much has the part of being a vampire. Azula vampire would be scary. Like, I don't even want to imagine Azula as a vampire.
Female vampire Smavatar. M. Night Shyamalan.
That was good.
Thank you, I'll be here all week. No, I'm done.
Katara is a vampire. She has the blood bending. I think she would just take it to the next level.
Oh my god, she's ripping out people's spines.
Yeah, well, I've read some fan fiction where the blood bending's used in different ways, like when Katara's interrogating somebody and she uses her blood bending to make all the blood rush to his head to give the guy an aneurysm.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, or just make the guy's heart rate go so fast that he's getting a heart attack or dying of a stroke.
You can also give someone a really painful boner.
Yeah.
That's what I would use it for. Just like, I hate this guy so.
Oh, I didn't use the pump.
Oh God! How could this get any worse? That's fucked up, man.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Nazaru. Next comes Jerkwater 100. How would you kill one of the vampires from Twilight in the most gruesome way possible?
Oh my god! This is fucked up, man.
Kill a Twilight vampire in the most horrible way possible. Well, I would buy like an Acme giant blender and force them all at gunpoint to get in there, to dive in, and then I'd hit the button on pureed. I wouldn't even put the lid on it.
Oh my god, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
So I would just take my keys, my car keys, which I'm holding in my hand right now, and I would scratch it right across Robert Pattinson's face, because that's his moneymaker right there. So now he's got a fucking giant scar across his face. So that fucks up his entire career. Done and done.
Yeah. I think he was talking about the vampires, not the actual actors themselves.
Oh, alright. Well, what the fuck kills those things? Because they seem to be immortal in every way. If sunlight doesn't kill them, like how the fuck do you take out a Twilight vampire?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
I fell asleep 5 times during the first movies. I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm just gonna assume they're all terrible. So, I don't know. Dynamite at the ass. I don't know. That'd be terrible.
Kill them like they did in Monster Squad.
Monster Squad.
Hey, even that's a better vampire movie than...
Oh, by far none, dude.
Yeah, Monster Squad is awesome.
With a Monster Squad.
I mean, they took a grenade to a werewolf.
My name is Horace. Blows off Robert Pattinson's head.
Yeah, man.
Come on, man. Horace versus fucking the Twilight vampires.
I would
Somebody make this movie and put that line back in there because I want to see that back on the big screen.
All right.
That kid. Good job.
All right. Thank you, Jerkwater. Next question comes from Dan Mad Dan Mad 297. Hey, I've got a question for you. It's about a comic from the X-Men. Did Storm turn into a vampire and kill anyone? Did Storm turn? There was a comic called X-Men vs. Dracula, where Storm did get turned into a vampire by Dracula, but the X-Men saved her.
Right.
So I think that's the one he's referring to. So yeah, that's an actual comic. And there was also another universe. There was another comic called Mutant X, which was an ongoing in the late 90s or early 2000s, where Havoc, Scott's brother, went into a universe and he encountered a different mutant, the other mutants in different universes, and he met this X-Man, character. He met this universe's Storm, and she was a vampire, and she went by the name Bloodstorm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Power of brain aneurysm.
Alright, so thanks for that question, Dan Mad. Next question comes from Sleepyhead Extreme, and he asks, remember that episode in Beast Wars when Black Arachnia became a vampire and he's talking about Transformers Prime. I'm sorry, I thought there was a Black Arachnia episode where she became a vampire there. Remember when I think he means Arachnid, became
He's talking about Beast Wars or Transformers Prime?
He's talking about Transformers Prime. I got it mixed up, my bad.
Okay, don't spoil anything for me, because I'm working my way through that show right now.
Oh, then I have to talk in code with this episode.
No, it's fine. You go ahead and spoil it. I don't care. No. I am watching the show, though.
Remember when Arachnid became a vampire in Transformers Prime, and everyone else, and they kind of left it at that? How would you wrap that story up? Alright, so before the series ended, Arachnid became this kind of like pseudo-vampire thing and infected all the Insecticons, but they left her on Cybertron's moon. How to tie that up? I guess it would just be her going to Cybertron to feed. It'd be.
Is it Cybertron Baron?
No, Cybertron. I don't want to. That's the thing. Are you really watching the whole series?
Yeah, I'm working my way through season 1 right now.
I don't want to spoil it then. I don't want to spoil the end for you.
Fuck. God, what's this guy's name?
Sleepyhead Extreme.
God damn it, Sleepyhead Extreme. Why'd you have to bring up Transformers Prime when I just started watching it?
By the
way, daringly I'm going to say, the best version of Transformers.
Yeah, really good. Like, it's got
It's insanely good.
Yeah, it's got my favorite incarnation of Megatron.
It takes a very simple premise, takes all of the convoluted lore of all the other shows, and says, here is the nice, pristinely packaged version of Transformers. And I'm like, there you go.
Yeah. It has also got the best human characters.
Well, here's what they do well. They don't focus on them.
Yeah.
It's a show about the Transformers. And these characters are there to assist the Transformers. That's the biggest problem with the movies, aside from being fucking terrible, is that the Transformers are not even kind of the main characters.
Yeah. I can't answer this question without spoiling anything for you.
Alright, tell you what. I will, for the next... No, alright, let me know when you're done. I'm going to mute my speakers. So just send me a text and let me know when you're done, and then I'll continue.
Alright.
Go ahead.
Alright. So, what I would do with that idea is pretty much that Arachnid and her Insecticons, now turned into vampire-like creatures, go to Cybertron to feed, and, you know, the Autobots, who are pretty much down to, like, what, 9 to 10, are trying to fight while trying to get other Autobots there. And now that Cybertron can support life, they're trying to, you know, I could see Arachnid trying to corrupt, like, the Well of Allsparks with what dark energon / synthetic energon she has, and kind of do what Unicron was doing, but only trying to be a little more successful. So, yeah, just a little bit, because, again, I don't want to spoil a lot for Bill here, and I want to keep this quick. So, yeah, that's like a general idea of what I'd like to do. So, yeah. You back?
How much shit did you talk about me now?
Oh, you found out. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But, no, thank you for that question, Sleepyhead Extreme. Next comes Amoya Reviews. And he asks, another uninspiring question from me, but I want to know, what did you think of the movie Daybreakers?
Great idea.
Poor execution.
Great first 35 minutes. Rest of the movie was pretty much ass.
Yeah. Daybreakers had a great concept. Vampires ruling the world, and humans as the endangered species, and it's a vampire society.
Right.
It just kind of, like you said, first half hour is really interesting. The rest of it, God almighty, I wanted to kill myself.
It is so fucking boring. Because it's like, alright, so we have this main character who's a vampire living in this vampire-run society, and what is one of the first things he does? He tries to turn human. How about, I don't know, we explore this world and try and find out what's different about it? Oh god, that movie pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
Great idea, terrible execution. I mean, you get fucking Alan Grant to be the head of the vampires and you don't do anything with it?
Yeah, Sam Neill, and you have Sam Neill and Willem Dafoe together, and Ethan Hawke in this movie too. How do you fuck this up?
Right? Right?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because then Sam Neill and Willem Dafoe come back together in this movie called The Hunter.
Oh yeah, I forgot about they were in that movie together.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking movie too.
Yeah. Anyway, think of that question in Moya Reviews, or Brian Creasy. Hope I'm saying that last name right. But I'm still saying Amoya Reviews, because that's on your icon thingy. Anyway, moving on to Boo Rat 1. And he asked this question. I'll go with a simple, easy one. What is your all-time favorite depiction of Dracula?
Oh.
In books or anime or movies or whatever. That's not an easy question.
No. Damn it. Oh god. This is too hard. I mean, performance-wise, Bela Lugosi's too easy.
Well, we've got another question similar to that coming up next, so you might want to save that.
Alright.
I think one of my favorite incarnations of Dracula is from The Batman vs. Dracula, that animated film.
Really?
Because that Dracula, played by Peter Stormare, who gives a great voice to him, that Dracula is... He's not only like... He's like a fusion of the Gary Oldman Dracula with the Christopher Lee vampire with Gary Oldman's Dracula. He's this...
Alright, I'm gonna go with Gary Oldman. Because I think that the performance was there, but more than that, and I know a lot of people don't like that movie, I do. I feel like it was the best amalgam of all the different aspects of the book and of the different performances. I thought that it was a really good version of the character. So I'm going to go with the Gary Oldman Dracula with Christopher Lee in a close second.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because our next question is going to ask that question. So. Oh,
okay, go for it.
Like I said, the Dracula from the Batman vs. Dracula, a lot of the movie Dracula. I actually like Gerard Butler's Dracula. I think he was interesting in Dracula 2000.
Dracula?
Huh?
When did he play Dracula?
Dracula 2000.
Oh, I saw that movie.
Yeah, that was Gerard Butler.
I forgot about that. He did play Dracula. That was a decent movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, or it's not...
No, I mean, it's Wes Craven, so it's as good as you can expect.
Yeah.
You get what you paid for.
Yeah, pretty much, but he gave a good performance.
It was good, yeah.
Anyway,
the guy from Blade Trinity, no. Skinhead Dracula.
Yeah, who needs that? But anyway, thank you for that question, Boo Rat. The next question comes from Jason Voorhees, 2011. And he asks, which of the big three actors who played Dracula is your favorite? Bela Lugosi, Christopher Lee, or Gary Oldman?
I mean, Bela Lugosi, definitely.
Really? Because you just went on a whole tirade for Gary Oldman.
Yeah, well, I said version. I didn't say performance. Bela Lugosi, I think, has the best performance. I said Gary Oldman is version because Bela Lugosi's version of Dracula is very simple. And thus is Christopher Lee's. So I can't say that's my favorite version when the characterization is so simple. So that's why I said Gary Oldman. However, in terms of just loving the performance, you gotta love Bela Lugosi, dude. I mean, yes, it's been parodied more times than you can count, and yes, nowadays it comes off as a little corny, but even still, there are some scenes in the first Dracula movie where you're like, that motherfucker is free.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna go with Bela, with Christopher Lee at a close second.
I am going to say Christopher Lee. I love Bela Lugosi. He's a great actor. I mean, he's pretty much, without Lugosi, we wouldn't have a lot of these actors.
Right.
But Lee did, he took what Lugosi had and enhanced it.
Right.
I think he played off the whole animal style of Dracula as well as the sophisticated side of Dracula very well. And this was pretty much where he showed his acting chops for the most part, because for the most part, beforehand, he'd been doing mostly the monsters for Frankenstein's monster and doing minor roles. This was like, I think, his Dracula performance was like his big role.
Yeah, he became very iconic for that, and he was not a fan of it.
What, for Dracula?
Yeah, he didn't like how he was always recognized as that and nothing else.
Well, I think he's kind of gotten used to it now.
Well, I mean, now he's got Sauron, so...
Yeah, he's got he's got Saruman, but...
So, I mean, he doesn't worry about it anymore, so...
Yeah, he's off playing in a symphonic metal band now.
Christopher Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, 98 years old. He goes out and about playing in a heavy metal band now.
He's 98?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how the fuck is he still kicking?
And this is a dude who, like, this guy's a living badass. I mean, have you heard about, like, do you know what he did in the past?
Yeah, he was a spy in World War II, right?
Yeah, he was a spy of World War II. He also was part of a group called the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which were pretty much, according to history, were the British version of the Inglourious Bastards.
Oh my god.
He hunted Nazis after the war.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play Sherlock Holmes and his brother in several different movies. He's played, he's played a Sith Lord. This dude is like, wow.
He is movie Jesus.
Yeah. And he's also got a great singing voice, too.
Apparently, hang on, we'll look this motherfucker up. Christopher.
My friend Justin, he worships Christopher Lee.
I don't blame him. Hang on. I'm trying to find this guy's exact age.
Yeah. He's also a direct descendant of Charlemagne, the last great king of the Dark Ages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
91.
Oh, he's not. I thought he was 98. Yeah, 91.
That's still intense.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, the motherfucker's 100, and he's off singing in metal band. That's awesome. Even still, 91, that's intense.
Yeah. But, yeah, Christopher Lee is my Dracula.
Indeed.
But, yeah, thank you for that question, Jason. Next comes the Spawn 117, and he asks, what do you think of vampires facing off against predators, xenomorphs, space marines, and Gundams?
Oh, we kind of answered this earlier.
Well, kind of, except he added the predators and the space marines and Gundams and aliens.
For all those.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the Gundams is that they're giant robots. The vampires are going to...
I was like, why is Dracula fighting giant robots?
Well, I mean vampires in general. Like, the Gundams would just be blowing them away. Unless they had unless the vampires got a hold of Gundams themselves.
It's like saying, I want to see Optimus Prime fight John McClane in a fist fight. Like, that's just not feasible. The science is not sound here.
Yeah. What's next? Are we gonna get a question where the vampires versus sharks from Sharknado?
Oh my god.
Anyway, vampires versus vampires and predators fighting would be cool. Vampires and xenomorphs. Here's the thing: the xenomorphs' blood would like their jaws would melt when they tried to bite them.
Right. Which cool fucking scene that would be.
Yeah, it's like one tries to take a bite of a xenomorph and just be like, like his mouth is melting off.
Right.
Yeah. But would they be feasible to be used for like harvest? The xenomorphs want to harvest them. I mean, they're dead.
Can they? Well, they would have vampire aliens then.
Yeah.
If they infected a vampire.
Yeah. The Space Marines from Warhammer. Yeah, they're heavily armored and they've got chainsaw swords.
I doubt that fight would last very long. Same thing with the Gundams.
Yeah. So the vampires, either, no matter what, they put up a good fight. They'd just be like, man, we got our ass kicked 4 times.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway.
We're outclassed.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Anyway, next question comes from ActionFan19, and he asks, would you agree that Mind Wipe from Transformers is more of a vampire than those crystal people in the books and movie franchises? Huh.
Mind Wipe? Who's that?
Mind Wipe's a Transformer from the Headmaster series.
Oh, okay, that's why I don't know who it is.
His ult mode's a bat.
I'm gonna say this, very, very casual Transformers fan.
Yeah. He's from the Japanese Headmaster series. He's a Decepticon from that series.
Okay.
Yeah, Mind Wipe's more of a vampire than the vampires. Yeah. There you go. That's a simple question. Thank you,
Yeah.
Action. Thank you, Action Fan. Next question comes from the Omnitron12345, and he asks, if you could design a vampire for a universe, what strengths and powers would they be? Oh, he's pretty much saying, if we could pick like a universe, like the Avatar universe or the Gundam universe or some other like a known universe, what would the vampires be like in that universe?
That's a really good question.
So what universe do you want to use, and what do you think the vampires would be like?
Oh boy. Okay. Damn. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna start really big and go a little smaller. Godzilla.
Alright, what would the vampires be like there?
What?
What would the vampires be like there?
Kaiju vampires. Imagine like fucking vampire Baragon and vampire Rodan and shit. I think that could be really cool. I mean, I think that what could be really interesting is to see Dracula taking some of the monsters under control.
Mm-hmm.
Since he does have that power. What else? I mean, there's not much to say there. I'm trying to think of a more interesting universe to choose, and that's all I can think of. Ooh, Dragon Ball Z could be interesting as well. Because if you put vampires there, maybe they could be absorbing ki as
instead of blood.
Or both even.
Ah.
So that could.
For me, I would say like the bloodbending vampires, like I've seen those fan fictions for the Avatar universe. I would like to see. You see, I would say gargoyles, but the thing is that according to Rick Weissman, vampires do exist in that universe, and so does Dracula. And he's going Weissman is writing novels for gargoyles right now, and he's going to have Dracula as a villain.
Oh.
So and here's the thing: they're not considered like another race; they're just called diseased humans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like because it always sticks to the 3 races: humans, Oberon's children, and gargoyles. So vampires and werewolves, they're just diseased humans.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think this is gonna sound really weird, but imagine James Bond versus Dracula.
All right.
Dracula tries to become the leader of England. That was actually I believe that was the premise for a Sherlock Holmes story, maybe.
I believe that was there was a story called Sherlock Holmes versus Dracula in a comic book that Wildstorm did.
There was also a novel.
Yeah, I remember there was a novel about it too.
It was written by Conan Doyle, and
Yeah.
it was I believe that was the plot where Dracula tried to marry the Queen of England, and Sherlock had to stop it. I think something like that with like the Prime Minister or M even before Judi Dench's M. Could be interesting if Dracula tried to make a move and James Bond had to stop him.
Yeah.
You have to be like, fuck reality. I mean, just put vampires in the James Bond universe, but crazier things have gone on in the James Bond universe. We had voodoo magic, so why not?
Yeah. Anyway, you want to move on?
Sure.
Because that's a question we could do all night.
Exactly. It's a very vague question.
Yeah. Next question comes from Mitch Meister, and he asks, if you had your own vampire versus werewolf or vampire versus zombie storyline, how would you go about it?
Ooh.
You see, like, if I had that, like, I would explain that vampires and werewolves, the vampire and werewolf one, I would have to say, like, the vampire and werewolf one, it would have to be like vampires and werewolves did have, like, a truce and they didn't cause war with one another. It'd be something like, long back in the Dark Ages when the Black Plague happened, while vampires and werewolves weren't infected, the food supply was going down and vampires sold out werewolves. Like, they infiltrated parts of the government, and, or royal families or stuff like that, and they just had, like, in Europe they had those huge werewolf trials.
Right.
And you could say that vampires kind of perpetrated that, and it kind of made the werewolves endangered species.
You just robbed my brain, dude, because I was going to say something similar. I want to see a world where werewolves are almost extinct and vampires are the main monster, and I would want to do a story where, here's my idea, a soldier is off, or not a soldier, a spec ops marine is off in Romania tracking down a terrorist organization and comes across the terrorist organization turns out to be vampires, and werewolves are the natural predators of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So these werewolves are hunting down the vampires, and the vampires are trying to, make the werewolves go extinct. And they succeed in the last werewolves coming to fight off the last vampires. And one of the Marines gets bitten, and it's kind of like an action movie where this Marine is trying to take down the vampires as this werewolf power Marine, and we never see the full werewolf until the end of the movie where he goes up against the head vampire.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much Van Helsing in present time.
No, because not really. It would be a lot different. Because it'd be a lot more of a war than it would be just a fight.
Yeah. And in terms of like the vampire zombie one, that movie already exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, you were saying?
I'm done.
All right.
That's all I got.
So, next question comes from Death Christ 2000, and he asks, thoughts on Team 4 Stars Helsing Abridged? It's hilarious. That's all I can say. It's hilarious.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. How in the world of Lucky Charms did you come back? Fuck you, that's how. No, it was like, how the bloody Protestant hell did you come back? Yeah. Anyway.
Hey man, I don't mean to sound like I'm rushing, but how many more questions do we have to go?
We've got about 5 questions.
Oh, okay, great. Let's go.
All right. Next question comes from Sailor Moon Girl, and she asks, are you a fan of the movie Lost Boys?
Sounds like we are.
Yeah, we've been talking about it, and
yeah.
It's a really good film.
Yeah, good vampire movie.
Yeah, sorry for that being quick, but Bill here has to go soon, so.
No, I mean I just wanted to see, but it's a really well done vampire movie. Good mix of comedy and horror and great special effects. Of course, Kiefer Sutherland's great. So.
Yeah.
The Coreys, of course.
Yeah, the Corey, the 2 Coreys. Well, now it's 1 Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that question. Again, sorry, it sounds like Ruz. We've just been like, we've talked a lot about Lost Boys tonight, so obviously we're fans.
Yeah. Clearly.
The sequels, not so much.
I haven't seen. I have no interest in seeing the sequels.
Okay, The Tribe sucks. The 3rd movie's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for that question, Sailor Moon Girl. Next comes the Okinawa Kid Prime, and he asks, Which kind of vampire would win in a battle? Classic European vampire or the ancient Chinese Jiangshi?
Jiangshi?
Those are the vampires that, like, they hop. They're the Chinese traditional vampires.
I've never heard of these.
They're these vampires that are, like, so powerful. These Chinese vampires are so powerful, they feed on other vampires.
So probably the Jiangshi then.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of they hunt vampires, so...
Yeah, they feed on other vampires.
Right.
Yeah. So, I'd have to say...
Science is sound.
Yeah, Jiangshi. Alright. Wolfman the Impaler asks, Alucard and Marceline owe you a favor. What would you have them do? Or in Alucard's case, who would you have him kill? Alucard, I'd have him kill. I don't know who I'd have him kill. Marceline, I don't know what I do. See, that's the thing. I was like, what would I do for a favor? You never know. That's the thing. Like,
it would be a lot more like if I ever need you to do something for me, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of anything right on the spot. I don't want to be responsible for anyone's death. Oh, unless it's like a major like dictator or some shit. So I'll send him after Kim Jong-un. Why not?
All right. I guess that the science is sound there.
The science is most sound there.
All right. I don't know about Marceline, so it's more like we'll wait and see. Let's think of that question, Wolfman. Aaron Shank, Austin Shank, excuse me. Austin Shank asks, to date, what is the most bestial and/or monstrous vampire interpretation you have seen in any media? 30 Days of Night vampires.
Milan's.
Milan's vampires, Russian vampires, too.
That was pretty fucking creepy. 30 Days of Night is a good one. Animalistic. I mean, 30 Days of Night's good again. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
There are basically monsters in that one.
Right.
Not really doing much of the thinking side of things, so I will say From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay. All right. So then our next question comes from, our last question, thank you for that question, Austin. Our next question comes from Zach the Thunder King, and he asked, if you could create your own version of vampire mythos, what would you do with it?
Ending it on a hard one. Well, I always liked the idea that Dracula made a deal with the devil after he lost his kingdom. That's how he became a vampire. I always liked that idea. And that Dracula was the first vampire and he spread his plague and shit. He formed his own race, and that's the idea I always liked.
Yeah, Dracula being the first, but again, that's an idea that's been done a lot. I wouldn't mind if there was another race of vampires and Dracula was just like the first of a new age vampire.
Right.
Like there were other vampires before and they just kind of evolved every time they passed the plague.
Right, I mean originally they had nothing to do with religion, so...
Yeah.
It was like, you know, because Dracula is by no means the first vampire. He was actually... See, the thing a lot of people don't know about Dracula is a weird amalgam of different things. He's kind of a mix between traditional werewolves and traditional vampires. But it's strange because a lot more of the werewolf got put into Dracula than the traditional vampire. Because traditional vampires are basically animals that would go around draining blood, and of course they were believed to be the cause of syphilis.
Okay, sorry about that, people, but we're going to run through this one real quick because this is our last question.
Right.
I don't know what I'd do with it. I'd just like to say that, yeah, Dracula wasn't the first vampire, but I would say something along the lines of, just basically, there were other vampires before him, more animalistic, and Dracula was like the first of the New Age. Something like that. So, yeah. Alright. Anything else you want to add?
I think I'm good.
Alright. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. That was our Vampire Q&A. I want to thank ZazuBaar for joining me.
You're welcome.
Go sit in the corner. Alright, and, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we are out of here.
This episode brought to you by the number